Hello and welcome to Wilmington, Delaware. Today we're going to be riding in coach down to Washington, D.C. on Amtrak's Northeast Regional. Our journey will start out with a brief look at Wilmington's Amtrak station, boarding train 193 to Washington, D.C. right on time. After departing Wilmington, we'll take a look at the seating on board, some stats for nerds, and everything else the Northeast Regional has to offer before arriving into Washington, D.C.'s Union Station. The Northeast Regional is an excellent service, so sit back and relax and join me on this journey down the Northeast Corridor. Wilmington is one of only two Amtrak stations in the state of Delaware, the other being Newark just a few miles west of here. Serving a total of 705,000 passengers in 2019, Wilmington ranks as Amtrak's 11th busiest station, despite the city only having a population of 122,000. The station itself is rather lackluster for one of Amtrak's busiest. The main waiting hall sits just below the tracks with only a few benches scattered throughout. The Amtrak and SEPTA ticketing desks and the station convenience store are spread around the perimeter, with the walls in between decorated with multiple displays featuring the history of Amtrak and rail travel in the Northeast. The train information screen shows that our train, Amtrak 193 to Washington, D.C., is still set for an on-time departure of 7:08 p.m. from Track 3. Now, I could have taken the now-arriving train 129 down to Washington, but not wanting to risk missing the connection when transferring from SEPTA to Amtrak, I decided to take the later train. Plus, it gives me some time to enjoy the railway. Heading up the escalators brings us to track level. As we reach the edge of the platforms, train 129 releases its brakes and continues on its way down to Washington, D.C. The first train to make an appearance during our wait is the late-running SEPTA 2526. In addition to serving Amtrak, Wilmington also serves SEPTA's Wilmington-Newark line trains running to and from Philadelphia. Unlike the SEPTA train that brought us here, 2526 is operated by two Silverliner 4 EMUs, a more common occurrence throughout the network. Just as 2526 departs, Acela train 2167 arrives, making the run from Boston to Washington. Acelas are beautiful train sets, and we've actually been able to ride on them twice before, once in business class and once in first class. If you missed either of those videos, then I highly recommend checking them out, especially our ride in first class. We started out at New York's Penn Station in Amtrak's newest Metropolitan Lounge before boarding our train for a first class experience up to Boston. Links to both videos are in the top right or in the description below. Our boarding time was fast approaching and our train was nowhere in sight. The dot matrix display above track 3 flashed the boarding sign, but to no avail, as the empty track meant we weren't going anywhere without a train. Fortunately though, the absence was short-lived, as around the corner came train 193, led by Siemens ACS 64 number 644. The doors open as our train comes to a stop and we can climb aboard. We're seated in coach for today's trip, but I was lucky enough to find an empty row to call our home for the next couple of hours. Just as I got seated, the doors closed and train 193 departed right on time to begin the 1 hour and 43-minute journey down to Washington, D.C. Seating in coach is very comfortable. There's plenty of room at each seat with a good 6 to 8 inches between my knees and the seat in front, plus there's extra space beneath the seat to stretch out if you don't have any personal belongings. Coach class does not include footrests, as there really wouldn't be any space for them, but the seat back pocket remains, containing the safety information card. The tray table folds down from the seat back and is large enough to store medium-sized laptops, although the usual issue of the tray table hitting my knees is still present, so be aware if you're a taller individual. Above the seats in each row are two lights activated by the buttons in between. Outlets are located on the walls just below the windows. As with most of Amtrak's fleet, these are the only 2 outlets for the entire row, meaning the aisle seat has no outlets if the window seat isn't willing to share. Seat adjustments are made using the button on the side of the armrests, which reclines the seat back rather far. The adjustments give passengers another 20 to 25 degrees of recline, which is more than enough for such spacious seats. Speaking of the seats, the interiors of Northeast Regional trains were reupholstered back in 2017 and have held up wonderfully over the past 5 years. In all honesty, they look brand new, and there's plenty of cushioning on the bottom and back of each seat, plus the leatherette looks significantly nicer than the fabric used in the past. Heading southwest out of Wilmington, our train picks up speed, climbing towards our top speed of 125 miles an hour. Although we won't hit 125 on today's journey, triple-digit speeds will be no stranger over the next 2 hours. Leaving Delaware behind, our train slows on approach to Perryville and the Susquehanna River Bridge. Yet another piece of outdated infrastructure, the bridge was built in 1906 by the Pennsylvania Railroad, which was then transferred to Amtrak ownership in 1976. Although of the same age as most other bridges on the Northeast Corridor, trains are only limited to 90 miles per hour versus the 45 on other spans. The reduced track speed does mean that we get a few extra seconds to appreciate the incredible beauty of the Susquehanna River, with the low sun reflecting off the water below. Aberdeen Station is the second stop on today's trip, if you can even call it that. We're only stationary for about a minute before we continue on our way. If you're enjoying the video so far, I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. It's totally free and it really helps support the channel. If you want to go the extra mile with your support, then check out the channel's Patreon. If you want your name in the video, access to exclusive weekly posts, and even the opportunity to vote on future videos, then click the link in the top right or in the description below to learn more. As our train resumes track speed out of Aberdeen, we can get up to take a look at the bathrooms on board. There are 2 bathrooms located at the end of each car, with 1 regular and 1 accessible. Stepping into the accessible bathroom, we can slide the door shut and press the lock into place. Be sure to properly close the bathroom doors, however, as even after pushing the lock, the door still opened. The locking mechanism prevents the movement of the handle instead of actually latching the door in place, so if the door wasn't closed properly, then the lock won't work. Having resolved the issue, we can turn back to the bathroom itself. The bathroom is fairly clean overall, with sleek plastic walls and newer fixtures. The accessible bathroom includes significantly more floor space, meaning it's very spacious. The sink works well, although there's no temperature adjustment and the soap is full. Both the paper towels and toilet paper are well stocked, although there don't appear to be any tissues or even a space for them. Above the sink is a large mirror with the main interior light above that. The included 120-volt outlets are located beside the sink and appear to be in good working order. Overall, the bathroom is very nice and is easily one of the nicer bathrooms on board Amtrak. The other 2 main features on board are located just outside of the bathrooms. The water dispenser and luggage rack are both at this end of the car. The dispenser works, but not very well, with the luggage rack set in the upward position to accommodate bikes. Making our way backward, we can head through the next few cars to find the cafe car. Cafe cars feature a number of tables for passenger seating in addition to the actual cafe. Amtrak's cafe offers a wide variety of snacks and drinks, plus a few hot options for lunch and dinner. The selection seen here is actually outdated, as Amtrak has revamped their cafe menus as of August of this year. Included in the updated selection are more options for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, plus a few new beverages and reduced prices on select options. The changes come in response to customer feedback over the past few years, and should help to enhance passenger experience on board Amtrak. Personally, I have found that meals on board have become quite repetitive, so an increased selection is greatly appreciated. For now, however, I decided to go with something a little lighter than a full meal, opting for a hummus and cracker dipping pack plus a bag of Doritos. The Doritos were your standard stuff, but the hummus pack was way overpriced for what you received. At $4.50, I was expecting at least 1.5 times what I got, and there weren't even enough chips to finish off the hummus. As we continue on our way down the corridor, let's take a quick look at some stats about our train. Our train this evening is Amtrak Northeast Regional number 193, and is powered by Siemens ACS 64 number 644. Each ACS 64 is powered by Siemens 3-phase AC traction motors. These motors produce a continuous output of 6,700 horsepower, but locomotives can boost up to a total output of 8,600 horsepower or 6,400 kilowatts over shorter intervals. The 6,400 kilowatts is also where the 64 in the name ACS 64 originates. Although they can top out at 135 miles an hour, ACS 64s are only operated at a top speed of 125 miles an hour, and only on select sections of track along the corridor like the one seen here. Consists on the Northeast Regional can vary in length, with our train made up of 8 total cars. 6 of the 8 are coach cars, with 1 cafe car and 1 business class car towards the rear of the train. Speeds between Baltimore and Washington, D.C. sit comfortably around the 100-mile-an-hour mark, but without the windows for reference, it would feel as if we were going 60. The coaches do an excellent job of mellowing out the bumps of the tracks, and the noise isolation is great with only a slight drone from the bogies beneath the car. Sunset comes as we reach the outskirts of DC, with the sky painted in vibrant hues of orange and pink. We pass by Amtrak's Ivy City maintenance facility on our approach into DC, the sky appearing as if it were on fire far beyond. Turning the final corners of the corridor, we make our arrival into Washington, D.C.'s Union Station. After coming to a stop, we can grab our belongings and disembark into Washington, D.C. A trip wouldn't be complete without a look at the locomotive that brought us here. Despite being the southernmost terminus for the Northeast Corridor, select Northeast Regional services actually continue south through Virginia. The tracks south of DC aren't electrified, however, so trains change locomotives from the electric ACS 64 to the diesel P42 DC. That being said, DC is the end of the line for our train, so we can turn to follow the crowds of people into Union Station. The concourse of Union Station isn't super eye-catching, but what's really special is the main hall. As the floors change from recessed tiles to granite and the walls to columns, we reach the true beauty of the station. Sitting in an unbelievable 219 feet by 120 feet, the main hall spans almost the entire entryway of the station, with the gold coffered ceiling standing an incredible 96 feet above. Having taken in the sheer beauty of the main hall, it's time to turn towards the exits and the end of today's video. Next week we'll be riding across the Netherlands with Blauwnet on board one of their Alstom Lint DMUs from Hengelo to Zutphen. If you're new around here, I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. It's totally free and it really helps support the channel. If you liked the video, drop it a like too. Likes help push my content to more awesome viewers like you, and the more people who enjoy the content, the more trips we can take in the future. But anyways, that's all I have for today. Thanks for riding with me, and I'll see you in the next one.